Yo, what up guys, Mr.BigRuss here, back from MBR Starcast. Today we have a StarCraft 2 gameplay game for you guys, and this time it's actually been sent in from the fans instead of me locating some around the online community. So let's have a look at our players. We've got Galactus, who's our red Protoss player, spawning down in his bottom hand position, and in our top right we have Muse, who's our blue Terran player, and he's actually the player who sent in the replay. I'm not 100% sure on what the actual league this was in, but nevertheless we're gonna talk about the game and look at how the players played, and if any mistakes were made we'll discuss about that. So at the moment it's all gonna be a pretty standard build order and everything, so you know, we're going to talk about some random stuff, how these little gases are just burning out all their gas. Look at them, they look pretty cool. But yeah, so the patch did come out today, I believe. It might have been out for a couple of days. I haven't been on StarCraft for a while because I'm out of League of Legends I've actually been playing. As you may have noticed, I've got a couple of Let's Plays on the way, and I'm working on trying to get some nice gameplay, which I'm going to edit down into a sort of a little mini video, like 15 minutes long, where I just commentate over that instead of a whole game. So it looks like Muse is going to be going for the ward off here. Pretty standard play, you know. I don't feel necessary it's that massively important to wall in against Protoss, because if they can get some early stalkers, then they're going to be able to pick off these buildings quite easily if you don't have the sort of units there. So, but nevertheless, it's always good to have a wall in. You know, it's going to be able to give them that bit of extra protection. So we do have 2 gateways going down for our Protoss player here, which is quite interesting to see. So he hasn't gone for his gas yet, and that's only on 12 supply as well, so it's quite interesting to see that he's gone for such early gateways, and maybe possibly you're going to be seeing a couple of zealots coming out, as we still have no gas at this moment in time. But if this was the case, that he was going for a sort of zealot rush, then I'd like to see maybe some sort of like proxy gateways over here or something, you know. And again, I don't believe he even knows where his opponent is, so he hasn't scouted him, so he really wants to get a scout out now, because he could send these units out anywhere really. So not the greatest position to be doing some sort of proxying from, or not necessarily proxying because it's not there, but to be trying to get some early win, it's not the best position to be starting this from. So let's go back to our Protoss player. Look, we've got a nice wall in now, complete by 2 supply depots and a barracks with a marine out. So it looks like a Protoss player, if he does get a scout out in the end, he's not going to be able to get a full scout. And we do have 2 Zealots in production from our Protoss player, and it's going to be interesting to see. He's using his chrono boost and still on his gateways. He does have a couple of Zealots queued up here, so it would be nice if the case to see an additional gateway go down, and still no gas from our Protoss player. So he looks like he's going to be committing quite heavily to these Zealots to start off the game off with. And, you know, sitting them down here doing nothing is not going to be any good. He wants to be building extra buildings. You know, he's finally getting his cybernetics core down. He still has no gas. His pro-production started to slow down a bit now. He's sitting on 300 odd minerals. So, you know, this is the sort of time where you guys want to be building an additional gateway. You know, instead, you don't really want to be having units queued up. You want to be building extra gateways. You know, you could easily have about 4 gates on this now, especially because the fact he hasn't gone for gas. And let's have a look at our Protoss player, our Terran players. So we do have an additional barracks going down from him, and it's quite nicely placed supply depots here. This is going to see any sort of drops or any sort of additional maybe proxy pylons coming in here. He's going to be able to scout all that, which is quite nice to see. Does have his orbital command going up, so he's going to be able to use some of his mules to start to rake in some income. Let's have a look at what actual units we do have. We do have 19 SCVs over 14 pros. There's certainly not a position you want to be having early game on. It looks like you must have lost an SCV or something there, and it's not a position you want to be in as a Protoss player right now. Protoss should really be ahead of Terran, or at least be even, especially early on. You don't want to be 4 pros behind, so it's going to be interesting to see how this game does play out. Our Terran player is going to be getting a factory. It's quite nice to see. It would be nice to see him possibly take another gas now, but he is pretty hefty on his actual income, so it would be interesting to see on such a long base sort of position spawn from your opponent. It would have been nice to see a sort of a fast expo from both players. We do have a forge going down by the looks of things from our Protoss player, which is kind of interesting to see. You know, I feel that he's kind of wasting money, and holy zealots right there. There's a lot of zealots right there. What we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zealots just chilling out there, and still on 2 gateways he's producing these out. He hasn't even started his warp gate production yet. He's finally started to mine out his gas, which is quite nice. And So yeah, it's sitting on a huge amount. It'd be really nice to see him sort of take an expansion now. And he sitting on this many zealots, you got to think that's an expansion there. That's a couple of unit production buildings. That's more probes, you know, especially as they're not doing anything. And finally, our Protoss player is going to be able to scout this out. We do have Stim finally starting for our Terran player. We've got a couple more orders out, easily picking off that probe. So the Terran player seems in a stronger position at the moment. Nice economy going for him. It would be nice to see him take up that gas. And he does have a starport coming down now, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be trying to get some medivacs out to get some drops. We do have a Twilight Council going down from our Protoss players, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be trying to go for those charged Zealots. And still on 2 gates and no gateway research, and this is where, you know, and early on you don't want to be doing this, guys. So either the Terran player or the Protoss player, you want to be using up all your minerals at once. You know, for example, the Terran player could quite easily now build an expansion, get a new nerd 2 barracks on that, and be quite easily comfortable, and also start mining out this gas, which is going to pay for later on, especially when you've got this sort of amount of minerals behind you. So we do have a medivac coming out. And again, I would like to see more production from our Terran player here, be continuing to build Marines whilst he's sitting on this amount of money. We do have an engineering bay going down, and a bunker. It's quite a nice placement by the bunker, but I would rather see that come out here, be a bit more aggressive, and start to total up by getting your expansion. He has taken his gas, so look back at our Protoss player, what's he up to? We do have 2 pointless cannons here, you know, they're not, it's just absolutely a waste. It's nerf 300, 450 minerals down the drain because he's not even properly, or he's not even upgrading. He's only looks to have 1 probe on this gas over here. He's got nothing coming out of his Twilight Council. Has no Twilight Council built now, so we've got 2 Twilight Councils doing nothing. Our gateway research hasn't even been taken, and we're still on 2 gates with a ton of zealots there. So let's have a look at how many units we actually do have. We do have 12 zealots to 10 marines and 3 marauders, so you know, the Protoss army may be looking a bit stronger here now, but with some easy micro from our Terran player, he could quite easily cancel that out. And we do have a random zealot just chilling out here, so he's going to notice any sort of push. Do have a sense missile turret down, which is quite nice in case to stop any observer coming out, and that's going to cancel that. But again, you know, we're sitting on so many minerals. I would really like to see this being fully mined out. That's only got 1 SCV on there, so that's sort of a tip for him to look at next time. Also, to be getting his level 1 upgrades, that'd be very important, and to definitely, once again, to be taking a command center down. This 10-minute mark, you really want to be getting it out by now. We do have a scan going down, so he's going to see the maximum amount of zealots. He's going to probably notice that he does have the 2 gates. It'll be interesting to see what he can actually see. So let's have a look. So as a Terran player, you can react to this. You're going to be looking at the Twilight Council, a lot of zealots, so you can expect them to have charge. You can only see 2 gateways without even having the warp gate technology. So for me as a Terran player, I'd think, wow, he hasn't got his warp gate technology. What is he up to? He's only got 2 gates from what I can tell. He's got a Twilight Council coming down. We do have the charge upgrade finally starting now, but you know, as a Terran player, I feel that you could easily expand, especially with this. You should be quite easily take 2 expansions off this amount of minerals, or be continuously building units. We do have 2 robo facilities coming down from our Protoss player, which I think is a bit of overkill once again, because he's not going to be able to feed this off 1 base, and still with only the one assimilator working. Let's have a look at our unit tab. We do have 18 probes to 27 now, so the Terran player is starting to slack a little bit. He let's return to game. He did have the sort of lead. He still does have a massive lead, but again, he should really be focusing on that. So Muse, my man, if you're watching this, as is your replay, I would like to see a nerve replay from you once again. But we do have our command center down, but a much earlier command center, possibly an additional one on that, and a couple more barracks. I feel you could be running 5 barracks quite easy now, and a reactor on there. Maybe not necessarily, I don't think we need to see tanks, but maybe an engineering bay as well, fully mining out this gas, and you'll be rocking and rolling in no time. So we do have a push coming from our Terran player, and it looks like the Protoss player has decided to go all the way around in the circle. Sort of a timing push here. If anything, his charger upgrade will be done by the time he gets there. But we could have a base race situation right here now with this with the Terran player moving quite strongly into the Protoss player's base. And I like the ball he has, but once again, with all these minerals, it could be double the size of this quite easily. The Zealots deciding to check out the 3rd, and nothing there. We do have a random cannon here, and that's going to easily go down. I don't think a unit's even going to be lost, and he's going to easily start picking off this base. and the Zealots have now decided to pull back. So a pointless move from our Protoss player there. We do finally. We still don't have our warp gate research, and we're still on 2 gateways. We've got a couple of stalkers out now, but they're not going to hold us off. Really need a couple of sentries to be force field on this ramp. And these Zealots, if they engage now, they're going to get torn to pieces. We do a couple of mortars on the way, but these Zealots are standing no chance. Nice little bit of stim there. The Terran player could quite easily micro these back and forth, but to be honest, I don't think there's much need of these medivacs. He's soon going to pull them out. I think I wasted stim there already, but nevertheless, he's in such a dominating position. 2,000 minerals compared to Protoss 300. So again, this is where it comes down to. I macro, micro. I feel like I always get confused between the two. I think micro is moving units, and macro to your production. I could be completely wrong. It's one of the two. I always forget. But that's what you want to be concentrating on, is doing both, being able to move your units and push in, and just hotkeying your units. Do we have a hotkey? He has his barracks on. He does have his orbital commander. We'd like to see his units being hotkeyed as well. These immortals are going to stand no chance right here against that amount of many marines, and it's the only result is going to end in a GG by the looks of things. So a strong push by a Terran player, a well-deserved win by the looks of things, and we're gonna have do have one suit, and he has left the game. So I want to quickly cap over during this game, as I normally don't do it, and as it's a replay sent in by the fan, I want to sort of talk about what he could improve during the next game. So Muse obviously is our player, so we're going to just look at his view and see what he has and what we can improve, what he can improve during for his next game. So we have an orbital command down here on 15-minute mark with no SCVs whatsoever. You really want to be dragging most of these SCVs. You only want a couple here to start saturating the space, because you can always come back to this at last. Most of the game he only has one harvester on there, so he does really want to be saturating out that gas. It's going to help him get any heavy tech during later games, especially upgrades. He only had the level 1 upgrade, so I'd like to see him improve on that. How many barracks do we have? I believe we did have 4 by the hotkeys, but I can only see 2 here. I believe I can only see 2, so I would have liked to see probably an additional 5 on top of that, really, especially with the amount of minerals he had, because you can see here queued up marauders. It's not really good. No marines coming out of this one, so it's not the best start. I would have liked to see the combat shield and the concussive shells going down from our Terran player, especially during this late on the game, and a reactor on here with a couple more medivats coming out. But the Terran player, for what it was, he did play well. He read the game well. He pushed out well. Obviously, the Protoss player not doing well, not giving the Protoss a good name with getting the 2 additional Twilight Councils, 2 robot facilities, and just 2 gateways with no gateway research. So kind of a big waste. But for our Terran player, he just needs to improve on his actual building units and building bases. So, and if you're always scared of holding this additional expansion, don't be afraid to get a planetary fortress. Especially against Zerg, it'll really hold off well. But if you can get that orbital command with those mules and everything, it's certainly gonna help you out. But overall, good game. If you're watching, taking my notes, I don't mean it in a bad way whatsoever, but we can only improve. I improved a lot over the last year through watching other people's videos and stuff, and it's the only way you'll do it. So feel free to send in your replays, guys, and also Muse, if you want me to check out another game of yours after you maybe taken in some of these notes, then please do. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. It's Mr.BigRuss with MBR Starcast. Peace.